I have been speaking at all the Masses this weekend, and I do that from time to time, and usually when I do it, it's about money. I'll talk to you about the Parish share collection, or I'll talk to you about the Church Alive campaign, or maybe our building fund. Well, today is not a talk about money. It's a talk about a process that is happening in our diocese right now, an important, significant process that when it's through, it's going to touch every single Catholic and every single parish in our diocese. And really, it's going to change the landscape of the Diocese of Pittsburgh. This process, which you, I'm sure, read about or heard about, is simply called On Mission for the Church Alive. It's a process whose goal is to grow the church, to look into the future and ask ourselves, what do we need to do? What do we need to change so that we can become the church alive? It's not about money, and it's not really about structures. It's about how do we enliven our faith? How do we enliven our parishes so that we do not manage decline? Because we are at a crossroads in our own diocese and in the church in general. And here's a couple of crossroads to consider. When I was first ordained, my first pastor said to me that when he was ordained, he had to drive a cab for 2 years because the bishop had nowhere to put him. There were priests everywhere. And at that time, every rectory had a housekeeper. And if you were a young assistant and you didn't get along with a housekeeper, and you went to the pastor and you said, look, I can't take it anymore, it's really either her or me, he would say to you, I can always get another priest, I can't get another housekeeper. I don't need to tell you that that is no longer the case. We don't have enough priests in our diocese to cover the parishes we have. Our average age is 67. There's one priest in his 20s. And that pattern is continuing. We have priests out there who are pastors of 2 or 3 parishes who are saying 4 to 5 masses on a weekend. And they say by the year 2020, we may have only 120 priests. So what do we do about that? We're at a crossroads. What do we do about this priest shortage? How can we have a church alive in the midst of that? And here's another crossroads. There are 199 parishes right now in our diocese, and over 50% of them cannot pay their bills. When I was first ordained and sent to Braddock, there were 9 Catholic churches in 13 blocks. And every church had a rectory, had a school, had a convent. J&L was booming, and Edgar Thompson was booming. And now Braddock's a ghost town, filled with empty churches, empty buildings. The only people left are the elderly who can't afford to move. How do we deal with that in the future? Do we say, hey, we're okay at St. Ferdinand's, you're on your own? Do we say, well, if you have money, then we'll give you ministry? Church alive in the midst of that financial situation. Here's another crossroads. 29% of our registered parishioners These are people who want to belong here, who took the time, who called, who filled out a form. We want to be a part of St. Ferdinand's. 29% of them don't come to Mass on Sunday. They have other priorities. And marriages and baptisms are down by 50%. And nowadays, people tend to have blessing services at the funeral rather than a funeral mass. And I don't need to tell you that. You know it firsthand. You have children, you have grandchildren who were raised in the Catholic faith, who were given the best possible example and education, and now they're gone. They went to college, or they moved out of state, or they married somebody. They don't come anymore. And maybe they've been hurt by the church, maybe they're put off by the priest scandal, or maybe they're just busy, or maybe they're just bored. They're good people. The largest religious denomination in the United States is Catholic. The second largest is former Catholics. What do we do about that? How do we reach out to them? How do we bring them back? How do we create a parish that is so alive? How do we create not just people in the pews, but disciples, so that people will want to come here, young people will want to come here? That's the goal of the Mission Church Alive. And finally, and really more importantly, what about you? What about you who come every week? I look out at you on a weekend and I wonder what is going on in your life. I'm worried about whether McCutcheon is going to hit again, or whether the secondary of the Steelers is going to be any good. And what are you dealing with? What are you worried about? It could be a wayward child. It could be a loss of a loved one. It could be cancer. It's all kinds of problems that people have that sit in our pews every week. How do we touch your life? How does the gospel touch your life? How do we bring our faith alive to touch your life? And there are lots of people who come every week just out of a sense of duty. They don't participate. We have 1,000 people here. When we sing a hymn, we should blow this roof off, but so often people just come to get it over with. How long is it going to take, Father? How do we touch your life? How do we excite your faith? How do we turn you from just people in the pews so that we become really, deep down, disciples? It's not about buildings. It's not about structure. It's not about money. It's about the heart and soul of what it means to be a Catholic, what it means to be a disciple of Christ, what it means to be a parish. Now, all of this is now about to touch the parish in a real way. It's theory, it's talk. It's been going on, this process, for almost 2 years. Now it's about to touch us directly. The 199 parishes of our diocese have been organized into districts, 21 districts. And a district is a collection of a number of parishes that are close by. And we are in a district, District 4 to be exact. And we are together with St. Kilian's and St. Gregory's and St. John and Paul, St. John Newman. And the bishop in September, sometime in September, is going to go to every district and suggest some scenarios, some models. They will ask that district to look at these scenarios and models to find out what is going to work for us. What is going to work for us in terms of being a church alive? And these models and these scenarios will be brought to you. And they'll be brought to you with town hall meetings, with surveys. We want to get your feedback. It's a process. It's not a done deal. And this back and forth will go on for a year at least. Then in 2018, the bishop will go to the bishop and say, hey, we've studied all of this and we think this model will work for us, this scenario will work for us. It's not one size fits all. There'll be models and scenarios in all the districts, all over the diocese. So you'll be informed all the way about this, and you'll be given an opportunity to give your opinions and your ideas as these models and scenarios are presented to you. I want you to take a bulletin today when you leave, because on the cover are the On Mission Church Alive team. Every parish has to have a Mission Church Alive team, and this is our team. They have been working with me, they have been trained, and their purpose is to help all of us through this process till we get to the end game, which is the new model or the new scenario for us. I want you to feel free to call me anytime. I will answer any questions I can. I will put you in charge in communication with one of the members of the team. As I say, I don't know the models yet. I will learn them pretty soon, and they will be brought to you. Finally, I want to just say, we should be excited about this. This is a really important moment for the future of our church. We should be optimistic, because there's nothing that can happen to us that we and God can't handle. And remember, Bishop Zubik's motto is, nothing is impossible for God. Let us profess our faith together.